We've all felt it, that familiar jolt of adrenaline when the bullets fly, the cars flip, and the hero walks away from the fire without looking back. Action films thrive on precision, a rhythm of violence, grit, and characters who always show up just when they're needed most. But what happens when one doesn't? Not a stunt double, not a silent extra. A real character, with lines, a purpose, a reason to be there. And suddenly, they aren't. No farewell, no body, not even a footnote in the credits. These are characters who were filmed, written into the story, and sometimes even marketed as key players only to be wiped from the theatrical release with no clear explanation. Some were casualties of studio pressure. Others fell victim to rewrites, scheduling issues, or politics we'll never hear about. And in more than a few cases, no one knows why they're gone. Their names remain in leaked scripts, their faces in forgotten trailers. Their impact? Replaced by empty dialogue, plot holes, or characters reacting to no one. This isn't about continuity errors or bloopers. This is something stranger, deliberate removal. Whole subplots stitched closed, performances buried, voices silenced mid-edit. And yet, if you look closely, you can still see them. In a cutaway that lingers too long, in a line that makes no sense, in the space where someone should have been. Tonight, we unearth 15 action movies where a character was meant to matter and then vanished completely. Not killed, not written out, erased. Let's begin with the films that left more questions in the cutting room than answers on the screen. Fact 1. Shadow Protocol, 1998. Everything builds toward him. In Shadow Protocol, a lone intelligence operative navigates a collapsing agency, searching for the traitor who compromised the system. We're told there's a mole. The tension spirals. Voices speak in code. A name emerges: Derek Vaughn. He never arrives. Despite being mentioned in dialogue, despite appearing in trailers, despite being listed in early cast sheets, Derek Vaughn is absent from the final film. There's no confrontation, no twist, no face to the betrayal. The climax shifts. A phone call ends it all. "We got him," says a voice we never see. Roll credits. So what happened? A leaked memo dated just weeks before release reveals the director's shift in vision. "The enemy isn't a man," it reads. "It's the machine." Vaughn was dropped to leave the ending open, allegorical. But the cost was coherence. The film drops breadcrumbs, then throws away the loaf. Scenes lose tension. A chess match with no final move, a chase without a target, and a betrayal that arrives without a betrayer. Derek Vaughn didn't die. He wasn't outsmarted. He was cut. And with him, Shadow Protocol lost not just a character, but its entire resolution. Fact 2. Neon Siege, 1994. He walks alone, silent, brutal, unforgiving. That's how Neon Siege introduces its lead, a mute former enforcer, rampaging through a cyber-noir city on a personal mission of revenge. But the original version? It gave him something else, a reason to feel again. Her name is never spoken, but she was there. Promo art showed the protagonist escorting a child through rain-soaked alleyways. Storyboards included moments of protection, conflict, vulnerability. Some leaked frames showed a subway shelter scene where she handed him a chipped access card. In early drafts, she was the daughter of a fallen comrade, the last thread tying him to humanity. In the final release, she's gone. And yet, traces linger. A shot holds too long on a child's shoe. A character says, "She made you weak," with no one to apply it to. There's a space in the story that feels intentionally left blank. Why cut her? The studio feared emotional weight would clash with the film's violent aesthetic. They wanted clean vengeance, not messy redemption. So the girl was erased, her scenes deleted, the connection dissolved. But the result is a colder film. Stylish, yes, but empty. Neon Siege wanted its anti-hero to burn the world down. What it forgot was the person who once gave him a reason not to. And for our final vanishing, we end with the strangest of them all. A villain removed, a resolution stolen, and an ending that no longer makes sense. Fact 3. Heat Zone, 1996. It was supposed to be a triangle. Heat Zone pitched itself as a brutal police thriller anchored by three forces: the volatile rookie, the hardened detective, and Lieutenant Barris, a commanding officer torn between protocol and loyalty. Two made it in. One didn't. Barris was a major figure in early scripts. He issued the orders. He negotiated with city officials. He held the fragile balance between law and vengeance. Promotional stills showed him in mid-shout, gripping blueprints. He appeared in teaser trailers. He was, by all accounts, the chess player behind the board, but not in the final cut. Instead, decisions happen in a vacuum. The main characters receive direction from a dispatcher's voice, and key consequences unfold without oversight. Dialogue lines remain, "Barris isn't going to like this," but no Barris appears. Crew reports suggest the actor demanded a stronger arc. When the studio refused, tensions escalated. Eventually, the director cut the character entirely but didn't fully patch the hole he left. The result? A story that moves with urgency, but without weight, without structure. A war on the streets, with no one at the top. In Heat Zone, the fires aren't the only thing out of control. Sometimes, a missing authority isn't just a casting issue, it's a signal the film never really knew who was in charge. And in our next story, the missing piece wasn't a cop or a commander, it was a child. And her absence changed everything. And in our next story, the missing piece wasn't a cop or a commander, it was a child. And her absence changed everything. Operation Swordline wanted to tell a story of duty and sacrifice of a mismatched squad escorting a wounded diplomat through enemy territory. And at the center of its emotional spine was Private Anders, the youngest member of the team. Sometimes, a missing authority isn't just a casting issue, it's a signal the film never really knew who was in charge. Fact 4. Operation Swordline, 1989. You'd never know it watching the final film, and yet his absence screams. The team leader breaks down in the third act, weeping over a kid we failed. But there's no context. It plays as melodrama without a trigger, because that moment was written for Anders after his scripted death in a minefield. What happened? TV syndication happened. A time limit. Studio pressure to cut 12 minutes. Anders was sacrificed for pacing. The structure remained, but the heart was carved out. In a film about survival, Anders was supposed to show what innocence costs. But in the end, he didn't survive the editing room. Fact 5. Zero Count, 1992. You wouldn't expect a boxing film to feel haunted. Zero Count was marketed as gritty, underground, and raw. It follows a fallen fighter clawing his way back through illegal bouts and bruised pride. But there was another presence in that ring. Dino the trainer, the voice, the myth. He was meant to be the old ghost of the sport, part mentor, part warning. Never a punch thrown, but every punch felt through him. The screenplay framed him as the past, trying to protect what's left of the future. But when the film released, Dino was gone. No corner man. No voice calling out combinations. No gravely wisdom after defeat. What's left are strange gaps. The lead whispering to no one, responding to unheard advice. A cut to an empty stool. A glance at a locker with Dino scratched into the paint. Something's missing. And the film knows it. Theories abound. One says the actor's footage was damaged beyond use. Another claims the director made a late decision to leave the ghost in the walls. Whatever the truth, Dino's removal didn't clean the story, it fractured it. Because Zero Count isn't just about pain in the ring. It's about what lingers in the silence between rounds. And from missing mentors to lost brothers in arms, our next vanishing left an emotional crater that the film never recovered from. Fact 6. Crimson Eden, 2000. Rebellion needs information. And in Crimson Eden, that information was supposed to come from a whisper in the system, Dr. Hale, an insider scientist leaking secrets from the heart of the enemy regime. At least, that's how it was written. Promotional material called her the conscience of the machine. Draft scripts showed her face appearing via hologram, guiding the resistance with codes and coordinates. Her final moment? A betrayal by her own people, an execution that proved truth had a price. Yet she's not in the film. Instead, knowledge simply appears. Data arrives with no source. The rebels act with uncanny precision, but no one asks how. A few corrupted voiceovers hint at an unnamed ally but never confirm her presence. So what happened? Crew rumors point to a shift in creative control. The studio wanted a tighter runtime and feared Hale's scenes slowed the tempo. Rather than rework her, they removed her entirely, but she left shadows. The film opens on encrypted messages with a female voice, but that voice is never identified. Later, a character refers to her sacrifice, with no context. Crimson Eden is a world starved of compassion, and it shows. Dr. Hale was supposed to be its flicker of empathy, but instead of letting her burn, the edit smothered her before she could even spark. The next ghost? He's not kind. He's brutal. And his name was once etched into every corner of a forgotten gym. Fact 7. Terminal Justice, 1996. Test audiences remember Agent Mallory. They saw him, heard him, laughed at his sarcastic one-liners, watched him interrogate the synthetic being at the core of Terminal Justice, a morally gray federal figure trying to control something increasingly uncontrollable. Crimson Eden is a world starved of compassion, and it shows. Dr. Hale was supposed to be its flicker of empathy, but instead of letting her burn, the edit smothered her before she could even spark. Fact 7. Terminal Justice, 1996. Why? Some say Mallory drew too much focus. Others blame runtime demands or a shift in marketing toward younger, flashier energy. A few point fingers at ego, suggesting the lead actor didn't want to be upstaged. Whatever the reason, the film suffered. Without Mallory, the stakes blur. The system feels hollow. The questions about control, ethics, and the human cost of technology are asked, but never challenged. And Terminal Justice, a film about the dangers of erasing limits, ended up erasing its own most grounded character. Fact 8. Velocity Crossfire, 1998. You've seen her, just not in the film. Velocity Crossfire was a neon-soaked car chase thriller, pulsing with synths and attitude. Its trailer teased not just the usual suspects, but a mystery figure. A biker in crimson gear, weaving through traffic with pinpoint precision, always just behind the lead. She was rumored to be the protagonist's ex-lover, or rival, or bounty hunter, depending on which draft you read. In the final cut, she's gone. No red biker, no subplot, no chase. The hero races alone. Scenes feel oddly empty, shots that were clearly designed for pursuit, now reduced to him swerving in silence. The climax unfolds without the emotional tension promised in the marketing. Speculation ran wild. One stunt coordinator hinted at unresolvable contract issues. Another claimed her big sequence was too dangerous and later scrapped. Whatever the truth, the character vanished not just from the story, but the edit timeline itself. Yet traces persist. One explosive crash cuts away too fast. A background figure in the shadows wears crimson, and in the trailer, her helmeted silhouette rides side by side with the lead. She existed, just not where it mattered. And while she was removed before release, the next character made it all the way to the test screening, only to be erased after audiences had already met him. Fact 9. Code Red Delta, 1995. The mission was clear. Extract the lost team, destroy the intel, get out alive. That's how Code Red Delta sold itself, a tactical war thriller built on claustrophobic tension and procedural realism. But behind the trigger pulls and radio chatter, something vital is missing. Captain Reyes, the commander who was supposed to lead with calm, precision, and moral weight. He's mentioned barely. A stray line, he'd know what to do, floats by in the first act. But no such character ever appears. Leadership falls to a young corporal who looks lost. Strategies shift without explanation. Emotional arcs feel incomplete. Why? Insiders say Reyes had a full role during filming. He was intended as the steady hand questioning orders, mentoring the green recruits, and dying in a sacrifice that catalyzes the final act. Then the studio stepped in. They wanted younger faces, faster pacing, more edge. So Reyes was cut. His scenes deleted. His impact, however, remains like a phantom limb the story still tries to use. It's not just that his death is missing. It's that without him, Code Red Delta collapses inward. A film without gravity. A team with no center. And sometimes, removing the man in charge means no one steering anything at all. But the next vanishing? It's faster, louder, and dressed in red. Fact 10. Rough Trigger, 1990. Buddy action films were everywhere in the late 80 seconds and early 90 seconds. Rough Trigger tried to play against type until it didn't. In early versions, the story followed Trigger, a grizzled bounty hunter, and Mikey Chan, a wisecracking partner from the rival side of the law. Their dynamic gave the film its spark. Two men forced into an uneasy alliance, taunting each other through explosions and betrayals. Then, the studio changed its mind. Wanting a darker, lonelier tone, executives ordered Mikey's character to be cut mid-edit. The problem? His scenes were already shot, so editors stitched the story back together by trimming, muting, and removing without refilming. The result is bizarre. Trigger talks to no one, pauses too long in empty rooms, and mutters jokes that don't land. In one scene, he opens a car door clearly meant for a second person but drives off alone. Eagle-eyed fans spotted stills of Mikey on set. One promotional image even shows the two mid-firefight, back to back. But there's no trace in the final cut. Rough Trigger became a monologue stitched from a duet. And Mikey Chan? He remains one of action cinema's strangest ghosts, shot, lit, framed, then scrubbed out as if he never mattered. Fact 11. Extreme Honor, 2001. In action cinema, a good villain isn't optional, it's structural. Extreme Honor promised two: a calculating arms dealer and his brutal enforcer, cold brain, hot blade. One manipulated from behind a desk, the other crushed skulls up close. We only met one of them. The enforcer, referred to in the trailer as a shadow who doesn't miss, was nowhere to be seen in the final cut. And yet, stunt rehearsals featured him. Interviews with the choreographer describe complex fight scenes designed for the character. A rooftop sequence was choreographed, then never shown. The film ends with a gunfight in a warehouse. No final duel. No physical threat matching the buildup. Just a flat, abrupt conclusion. Why? One version claims the actor suffered a mid-shoot injury. Others whisper that the lead star demanded more spotlight and the enforcer's scenes drew too much attention. Whatever the cause, his presence was deleted but not completely. Lines remain. A character says, "You haven't faced what's coming," but nothing comes. The final act of Extreme Honor doesn't feel like it ended, it feels like it skipped. And all because the showdown was filmed, maybe even completed, but never allowed to happen. But what happens when it's not just scenes that are gone, but an entire relationship? Fact 12. White Rush, 1994. But what happens when it's not just scenes that are gone, but an entire relationship? One version claims the actor suffered a mid-shoot injury. Others whisper that the lead star demanded more spotlight and the enforcer's scenes drew too much attention. Whatever the cause, his presence was deleted but not completely. Not in the movie, anyway. Instead, the final film features a ragtag group of mercenaries with no clear chain of command. Dialogue suggests someone should be calling the shots, but no one does. In one scene, a soldier says, "Carter would have handled this differently." Carter, who never appears. Fans noticed. The press kit included Carter's full character breakdown. Behind the scenes, photos show him leading the briefing scene, one that's not in the final cut. The actor? Never credited. No deleted scenes. No commentary mention. Just erased. One theory says the studio wanted less talk, more gunplay. Another? That Carter's arc questioning orders and eventually defecting softened the film's edge. Whatever the reason, the decision left a hollow core. White Rush became a film of noise without command. And Sergeant Carter, once meant to embody moral tension, became a ghost who never stepped into frame but somehow still left footprints. And that's not even the strangest erasure. The next film cut a villain but left behind the hole he was supposed to fill. Fact 13. The Peacekeeper, 1997. Marketing sells the movie. And the Peacekeeper's marketing leaned hard on high-stakes government chaos, presidents, nukes, betrayals. The poster showed the president flanked by two aides. One was a known TV actor, billed in the press as the insider who knows too much. Yet when the lights dimmed, he wasn't in the film. No scenes, no lines, not even a mention. One moment he's in the promotional machine, the next he's been vaporized by the final edit. Sources say his role was meant to complicate things, a conscience in the West Wing, warning the president of the brewing threat. But early test audiences wanted action, not hesitation. So the subplot was gutted. His scenes were scrapped. No scenes, no lines, not even a mention. One moment he's in the promotional machine, the next he's been vaporized by the final edit. Marketing sells the movie. And the Peacekeeper's marketing leaned hard on high-stakes government chaos, presidents, nukes, betrayals. The poster showed the president flanked by two aides. One was a known TV actor, billed in the press as the insider who knows too much. Next up, a character who existed in press kits, photos, and plot outlines yet never made it to a single frame on screen. Fact 14. Maximum Breakout, 1991. Officer Ramirez entered the frame like a storm, sharp, defiant, fully armed. In Maximum Breakout, she wasn't just the female lead. She was the one drawing moral lines while everyone else pulled triggers. She cracked cases, challenged the hero, and carried half the emotional weight. Then, mid-film, she disappears. No demise, no exit line. She's there for a chaotic shootout, and when the camera cuts back, she's gone. Completely. Replaced, inexplicably, by a male officer with no backstory and no explanation. It's like a film reel went missing. Those paying attention noticed the seams. A line about losing someone important feels shoehorned. Action scenes seem trimmed. Fans unearthed early trailers showing Ramirez in the final standoff. One version of the script leaked online even gave her a betrayal arc she was supposed to turn. But studio notes reportedly labeled her storyline too complex. Some insiders say the director pushed back. He lost. The final product feels amputated. A character built to challenge the narrative simply removed from it. And if that seems harsh, imagine what happens when a film erases someone who made it all the way to the poster. Fact 15. Firepower, 1,993. There was supposed to be a hacker, not a nameless figure behind a screen, but a fully realized character integral to the mission in Firepower, the 1993 cyber cop slugfest drenched in testosterone and late-night cable aesthetics. Early scripts described him as the one who disables the fortress's AI defenses, paving the way for the heroes to storm in. And then, nothing. In the final cut, there's a vague mention of a breach, a sudden leap in the plot. The hacker's role is never shown, never named, never explained. His death is implied but not depicted. His absence, however, is undeniable. Behind the scenes, chatter suggests his scenes were filmed across several days. He appears in a blink-and-miss moment from a teaser, hunched over a console, face bathed in green light. Some say he clashed with the director. Others claim test audiences didn't get him. Either way, the edit blade fell hard. The film stumbles over his missing presence. Dialogues refer to someone who's no longer there. Momentum breaks. It's as if a crucial artery in the film's body has been severed and the audience is left to guess where the blood went. And in a movie obsessed with brute force and visible carnage, it's the invisible cut that lingers longest. But Firepower wasn't alone. Another film let a major character vanish halfway through, right in the middle of the action. Bonus fact. Final directive, 1,990. The man who was never cast. Most forgotten characters were once on set. They were filmed, framed, and eventually cut. But Final Directive has something far stranger. A central figure who was never cast, yet still haunts the story. The film unfolds as a tribunal drama, focused on General McCrae, a legendary war hero standing trial for war crimes. Yet early drafts revealed a second heartbeat in the narrative, Captain Juno, the whistleblower who leaked the footage that sparked the trial. Juno wasn't a side note. He was the instigator, the one who forced accountability. But when the film was released, no one played him. Not because he died, not because his scenes were cut. He simply never appeared. No casting, no filming, and yet, his fingerprints remain. In an early scene, a judge refers to our unnamed source. Later, McCrae says, "He did what none of us had the courage to do." A classified file marked J appears twice, never opened. The dialogue expects a presence that never enters the room. Behind the scenes, rumor has it the original actor dropped out. The replacement never came. Time ran short. So instead of rewriting the entire script, the director decided to let the hole stay open. That decision echoes through the film. Captain Juno becomes an absence with weight. A character who moves the entire story forward without ever stepping into the light. Not a ghost, not a corpse, a space. And in cinema, there's nothing stranger than a role that was too important to erase but too broken to complete. What do we lose when a character is erased? Is it just a few scenes, or the very spine of the story? These vanished figures, cut, hidden, or never cast, remind us that filmmaking isn't just about what we see, it's also about what gets buried. Now we want to hear from you. Which of these ghosts left the biggest hole? Have you ever spotted a scene that felt like it was missing someone? Let us know what you saw and what you think we were never meant to.